In this video, we are covering section 8.1, linear measures, and we're going to talk about American units first. Okay, so remember that a unit segment is a segment that measures 1 unit in length. So 1 inch or 1 foot or 1 mile, those are considered unit segments. Okay, and the American units of length that we are looking at here are, of course, inches, feet, yards, and miles. And I show you some conversions there, like 12 inches in 1 foot, 3 feet in 1 yard, similarly 36 inches in 1 yard, and 5,280 feet in 1 mile. So when we are converting from one unit to another, we need to multiply by fractions that are equal to 1. So for example, 12 inches and 1 foot. This fraction actually equals 1 because 12 inches is equivalent to 1 foot. Now that seems a little odd because I have a 12 and I have a 1, and 12 over 1 is not 1. But remember, our units are different here. Okay? So the goal, of course, is to cancel out all units except for the one that you need. And to cancel the units, you need 1 on top and 1 on bottom. Okay? So let's see what we can do. I should also make a note that you will want to memorize these. You will need them for test, probably test number 2 and the final. So memorize. Okay? All right, here we go. Let's look at these. 40 inches equals how many feet? Okay? So let's always start with what you're given, 40 inches. And we want to multiply by some fraction that is equivalent to 1 such that we can cancel our units and end up with feet. So I'll give you a hint. You have inches. You want to get rid of inches, so go ahead and put it down here. And do we know how, can we relate inches and feet? Yep, we can. We know that 1 foot is the same as 12 inches. Okay, so this is our conversion fraction here. It's equal to 1 because 1 foot is the same as 12 inches. Now I have my inches both in my numerator and in my denominator. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. So cancel my inches here and my inches here, and what I'm left with is just feet, which is what we want. So now I have 40 times 1, which is 40. And of course my unit in this case is feet. And then on the denominator, when I don't have anything, I just put a 1. 1 times 12 is 12. And I have no units in the denominator, so I just leave them off. So 40 divided by 12 gives me 3.333, repeating, which I prefer not to use the decimal. Instead, I would prefer you write 3 1/3 feet. Okay, now let's look at converting 54 feet into yards. Again, start with what you were given, so 54 feet. And then we want to use a fraction so that we can cancel our feet, so we'll put feet down here. And I'm hoping that I can go from yards to feet, or feet to yards. So do you know how many feet are in a yard? If you're not sure, remember, go back here and look. So 3 feet is the same as 1 yard. And again, here we go. We've got our feet in the bottom. We can cancel those. And I'm good to go. So 54 times 1, well, that's just 54. And of course my yards, that's what I want. Although that looks a little terrible. We'll see if we can fix it just slightly. And then in the bottom, I don't have anything here, so we'll just put 1. 3 times 1 is 3. So I take my 54 and divide by 3, and I get 18. So 54 feet is the same as 18 yards. Now maybe you know that. Maybe that's intuitive for you, but I still want to see your work and how you're going to get that answer. Okay? Let's take a look again at 23,780 feet. and we're going to convert to miles. So we have feet down here, and I know that 5,280 feet is the same as 1 mile. So then our feet are going to cancel just fine like that. So now I go ahead and I multiply it out. I have 23,780 feet in the numerator, 5,280 feet in the denominator. My goal is that my answer is in miles when all is said and done. So I divide, and what do we get? We get 4.503 ... So I'm fine with you rounding to 2 decimal places, 4.50 miles. Okay? All right, let's take a look and see if we've got a couple more. Sometimes you're going to have to multiply by more than one fraction in order to get your final answer. Okay, so let's take a look at this. If I have 342 inches and I want to go to yards, okay, maybe you know how many inches are in a yard, but maybe you don't. So let's first go from inches to feet, okay? And we know that there are 12 inches in 1 foot, okay? And that will make it so that we can cancel our inches, just like this. So if I just did this, I would know how many feet there were. But we don't want feet, we want yards. So we're going to go ahead and say, well, how many feet are in a yard? So 3 feet is equal to 1 yard. So now we can again cancel our units, our feet, and we would be left with just yards. So now we multiply all the way across the top. 342 times 1 times 1, well, that's 342. There again, my pen is being silly. And then in the bottom, remember this is 1 when it's not there, 1 times 12 times 3, so that's 36. And this should give us how many yards? So take 342, divide by 36, and we get 9.5. So 342 inches is the same as 9.5 yards. Okay, how about this one? 7.2 miles. And we want to know how many inches is that? I bet it's a lot. Let's take a look. So first we're going to multiply to get feet. Okay? So remember, I have miles in the numerator here. I want miles in the denominator here. So feet. And I know that there are 5,280 feet in 1 mile. And then I want to go from feet to inches. Okay? Now I want my feet to be in the denominator and my inches to be in the numerator. And I know that 1 foot is the same as 12 inches. Notice here that my miles cancel and my feet cancel, and I'm left with just inches, which is what the question is asking me. So I take 7.2 times 5,280 times 12 in the numerator, and I get 456,192. And then in the denominator, I have 1 times 1 times 1, which is just 1. So my answer is 456,192 inches. Okay? And let's take a look at this last one. I'm converting yards to miles. Yards to miles. Okay, so we're going to start with our yards. Now, do we have one that takes us from yards to miles? No. But we can go from yards to feet and then go from feet to miles. So 3 feet in 1 yard. And then we can say, okay, how many feet are there in a mile? Do you remember? 5,280. So then our yards will cancel, our feet will cancel, 1 in top, 1 in bottom. So I go ahead and multiply out our 20,064 times 3 times 1, and we get 60,192. And then in my denominator, 1 times 1 times 5,280. And so then we need to simplify, and we get 11.4. So 20,064 yards is 11.4 miles. So this is how we convert these linear measures in our American units. Keep up the good work, and we'll see you in the next video.